my name is Fila Beck, the Rabbi from Another Planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And before we get into the top 10, well, my personal top 10 Halloween Doctor Who episodes, let me address a couple of rumors that have been flying around. Most of them I find utterly horrifying. I'll tell you what I think is really happening. Rumor number one, which I love, is that Whittaker and Chibnall have already gone. They have left the building. They're out there, butthurt that they got such a strong backlash from the audience, and that they lost about 40% of their viewing figures over the course of of their audience over the course of their season. It was about 40. They went from 10.6 to 6.5 or something, 6.6, something like that. But it worked out about 40%, which I think is a higher attrition rate than we normally see. Anyway, I just think the fan backlash against it. Jodie fans, like, they think I'm living in a delusional fantasy, and much the same. I think they're living in a delusional fantasy. They think it was incredibly popular, or at least it wasn't unpopular. And I would just say, if it wasn't unpopular, what happened to all the merchandise? If you remember when Matt Smith or David Tennant was a Doctor, or Christopher Eccleston. You can't really count him though, because he essentially quit after the first week, or second week. Anyway, but the merchandise was everywhere. Merchandise was flourishing, and it was doing fantastic. I think Matt Smith era is really where it probably hit its peak. It went down during Capaldi, but still viable. But now, for Jodie, there's before the series started, there was merchandise everywhere, like everywhere. And then I don't think any of it sold. And character options. I'm not even sure if they're still doing their Jodie action figure. There's another company doing a Jodie action figure, so I don't understand how both of them can have the rights. But when character options, the people who do the Doctor Who action figures, released their slate for this year, it was all classic Doctor Who. So there's obviously a viable market for Doctor Who action figures. There is no viable market for 13th Doctor action figures. As we can see, we don't have a Graham figure, a Yaz, or what's the other one? What's the other bland non-entity defined by his skin colour? What's he called? Brian. There you go. And just in general, like from what I understand, the comic book in America, they if they're lucky, they hit 6,000 in sales, which is really pathetic. But anyway, listen. Okay, but obviously I may be delusional too. I don't think I am. And there may be other reasons. But anyway, the first rumor, which I love and I hope is true, is that they've left. They're gone. They've left the building. Season 12 will be the last time we have to see them. But then there's another rumor that they're back for season 13 and maybe 14. So here's what I think is really going on. I'll get into the really horrific rumor in a minute. Here's what I think is going on. The HBO Max, the Warner streaming service, signed a deal to have exclusive streaming rights for Doctor Who, and with that influx of cash, they guaranteed seasons 13 and 14, maybe even 15, I think. But they may be confirmed. The rumor flying around is they're confirmed with Chibnall and Whittaker, which I just I find unlikely. And you know what I find it's particularly unlikely because I think everyone kind of really knows. Just like they know I think they knew with Last Jedi. They didn't know how bad it'd be with Last Jedi, but I think they're preparing for that with Rise of Skywalker. How they're going to deal with like the very negative reaction from their core fan audience, and there is going to be a very negative reaction because when they came in season 11, they had nothing but support. Everybody was on board. They're coming in now. Everybody's feeling betrayed. I'm feeling betrayed by Chibnall and Whittaker because I was prepared to believe in them. I was ready for it. I was excited for it, and they just horribly let me down by putting out this bigoted social justice garbage. It essentially turned the Doctor into a bigot and a segregationist and a virtual signaler, which I don't think is the Doctor in any way, shape, or might be this Doctor. But you know what I'd love to do if the rumor I like that they're both God and they regenerate her. And the next Doctor, when they regenerate her, the first lines, be it a man or woman, go, oh my God, that was awful. And then, just reflect the audience, how the audience felt. Oh yeah, so I read about this on the article I read this in is hilarious in Vox Media. Never heard of them, but this fantastic paragraph. I got to read it to you. Whittaker's debut episode, "The Woman Who Fell to Earth," was one of the most watched episodes of Doctor Who ever. That is correct because we all tuned in and we're all excited for it. And that is the thing that the Jodie fans have been hiding behind ever since. And since then, the ratings held a steady figure. No, they didn't. They dropped 40%. They didn't hold steady. Whittaker's casting obviously caused an uproar, as many fans believe the role of the Doctor must be taken by a man. I wouldn't say an uproar. Okay, if you ever see, this is a bit of an obscure reference. You ever seen Joss Whedon's show Firefly? They had a pilot which they didn't show, but it's a 2-part pilot, and then it was on at the end of they put it on the end of the run. It's on the Blu-ray, but at the end of that, there's this one character comes on the spaceship in the Firefly spaceship with a mysterious box, and there's a big fight at the end of the episode to see what's in the mysterious box. So you see what's going on, and they fight, and finally the box gets opened up, and inside is a naked sleeping girl. And the reaction is I think it's one of the best moments of TV ever. The reaction from who was it? I can't remember the actor. Malcolm Reynolds as a character, the captain of the ship. He looks down and goes, "Hmm." So that I think was the reaction when Whittaker got cast. My initial thought was, I was scared that if it was going to be expression of political correctness gone insane, and then I took myself down from that, which is why I feel so betrayed because that was my initial thought was season 11 will be exactly what it was, but it got over it, and then they kicked me in the balls by making it exactly what it said. So yeah. The Doctor must be taken back. However, a very large number of fans adore Whittaker in the role and don't want her to go. You know, there are a lot of people who don't mind her. That's true, but I'm thinking they don't adore Whittaker in the role. They adore her genitalia. That's what they like. They like her genitalia. They like her LGBTQ symbol on her chest. They don't really give a damn about Whittaker or that. So. Shield media at its best. But how long will she stick around for? I'm hoping she's already gone. Okay. But, the other rumour, the most horrific rumour. Now, this rumour comes from Dictor von Doomcock. So I will take that with it. Look, Doomcock's channel is a ton of fun. I wouldn't take it as the number one source of accurate news. But he's saying David Tennant will guest in air with Jodie Whittaker, which that I can see happening. I think Tennant willing to help out and boost the ratings. I think they're on the whole push this year is to keep doing the politically diversive crap they've been doing in season 11, but add in lots of monsters and stuff and other things people like so they can bolster the ratings. So David Tennant's supposed to be on, and then the rumor is that he's going to have to apologize for the toxic masculinity of the Doctor to the 13th Doctor. Say the 13th Doctor will lecture him about how they're all inferior to her. I don't really believe that. I mean, listen, I really hope that rumor is true, because I think that'll be the thing. If nothing else out there, that will be the thing that turns fandom against Doctor Who in its entirety. It'll be like Game of Thrones season 8. It will be that would be insane. So I really hope it's true, but I doubt it's going to be true. Anyway, 8 minutes 53 seconds in, we get to the point of the video, and I actually did a bit of research. These are my top 10 in order. Top 10 spooky Doctor Who stories if you want to watch tonight for Halloween. Now, here's the ones that didn't make the list. I'll just go over them quickly. The 3-parter, Extremis, Pyramid at the End of the World, and Lie of the Land. That's Capaldi's last season. I feel it's his strongest season. In general, I actually did a full... I'm in the middle of doing a full re-evaluation of Capaldi's reign, which was better than I thought it was. My first impression of it was not good. Now, rewatching it, there are many episodes, especially in this first season, which are unwatchable. But this, Extremis, Pyramid at the End of the World, and Lie of the Land, that's the one with the spooky decaying monks, who I thought were a pretty good villain. I wouldn't mind seeing them. I wouldn't mind Big Finish bringing them back and putting them with an older Doctor. Then there's Under the Lake and Before the Flood. Bit of a what's the word? Not confusing. bit of an unclear episode. It's a good spooky ghost story, and you do get, and if you haven't seen it, this is a spoiler. You do get to see a ghost version of the Doctor appear, which makes the cliffhanger for the first episode. But it's really, yeah, in terms of spooky episode, it's pretty good. Night Terrors, that's a Matt Smith story with a scared kid who's terrified, and they have like, I think that was the one with the like the spoon dolly monster things. They were creepy. Midnight's fantastic, and I'm sorry I couldn't fit it onto the list. But I'm trying to go for more like traditional spooky stuff. But Midnight is when it's a David Tennant episode. It's essentially a two-hander. I wish I could remember the name of the woman with him because she was fantastic. The sound editing is breathtaking. It's a conceptual monster that can only exist in language in words that it's heard. And so you got this woman mirroring David Tennant's language and it's essentially taking over his language from it. It's a really good episode. It's a really creepy one. I wish I did put it on there. Tooth and Claw, another David Tennant episode. You had a giant CGI werewolf and karate monks. It was kind of like a homage to great Hammer horror movies of the 60s and 70s. The Awakening, Peter Davison story. The Awakening, that's very much in the same tradition of Wicker Man and Devil Rides Out. It's set in a like sleepy English village. I think it's a two-part. Is that a two-parter? I think it's a two-parter. I left that one off. I left it off this because there's other more appropriate ones on there. State of Decay, another vampire one, a Tom Baker one set in East Space. The horror element in that was, I think, pretty minor. Well, I haven't seen it for a while. I got the Blu-rays of that season. I really should do the whole like East Space trilogy. But okay, let's do that. They're the ones who didn't make the cut. Here's the ones that made the cut. Number 10, The Chase, episode 4, a delightfully goofy and really kind of stupid episode where the first Doctor is on the run from the Daleks, namely the Chase. The Daleks get the first time they get their own time machine, their own TARDIS in there. It's bigger on the inside, and it's basically it's a Terry Nation episodic chase through time and space. It's a fun story. Anyway, they land in one place and there's there's all these like ghoulies, there's like vampires, there's Dracula, there's Frankenstein, there's a Wolfman, and it's like they're like, oh, we must have got into the realm of the some side universe, or I can't remember how they describe it. But really, they were just in a house of horrors, and everybody there was animatronic monsters. But as these monsters then go and do battles with the Daleks a little bit later in the episode, successfully, I'm assuming it's a house of horrors from like the 32nd century with crazily high technology. Okay, number 9, Mummy on the Orient Express. This is from Capaldi's first season. Now, Capaldi's first season, again, rewatched it recently, and they are a good 6 episodes are unwatchable. This is one of the stronger ones of the bunch. Where Capaldi is with the Doctor is in that first season it's like his first year of being. It's like the Doctor year 1. He regenerates, and you just see him like becoming the Doctor. And so this is where he's like started to be more comfortable with him, and he wanted to go on an adventure. Clara had this subplot going on that she had to stop adventuring with him because it's hurting her relationship with Danny Pink, who may have mentioned once or twice he used to be a soldier. God, I just went on so much of that season. But if you want like spooky thrills, this has a great mummy in it. This is like just a great classic mummy in it. And it's a good sci-fi twist on it, but again, it delivers those classic monster, universal monster thrills. Then number 8, The Horror of Fang Rock. Beautiful episode, beautiful story, written by Terrence Dicks on a budget. They had one set, and it's a creepy isolationist horror tale of a bunch of people being trapped in a location with a shape-changing alien. So you've got all this like body horror stuff going on of like, and you got like you trying to work out what's real and what isn't. Great episode, really. It's again, they needed. I think Terrence Dicks, they needed a filler, like a filler story, and he came up with it, and it's an all-time classic. Another all-time classic, The Talons of Wen Chiang. This is very much in the feel of the Fu Manchu movies from the 60s, and it's like lots of Oriental kind of flavored supernatural stuff with a science fiction twist. Yeah, it also introduces Jago and Lightfoot, who are one of the greatest double acts in Doctor Who history. Please go to bigfinish.com and check out their spin-offs. Their first spin-off they did was the Mahogany Murders, and then they did like 8 or 9 series before. I think, was it Trevor Baxter, who plays Lightfoot, sadly passed away. But fantastic episode, fantastic pairing. I recommend it highly. Another Tom Baker one for number, what are we? 10, 9, 8, 7. Number 6, we're out to another Tom Baker one. You know, actually, no, I'm going to change that. I'm changing it around right now. I'm going to do a Matt Smith story, a classic vampire tale. The Vampires of Venice. Vampires are fantastically realized. Matt Smith is, this is his first season. He's just shot out of a cannon, having the time of his life, being the Doctor, and his love of being the Doctor is just infectious, and he loves like meeting vampires. And it's got the great from the trailer. If you remember the trailer for that series, where he meets the vampires, holding up the lights, and tell me your plan, tell me everything, and they go, and he's like, well, that didn't work, and runs away. Matt Smith was really like put his stamp on the Doctor right from the beginning. So that was 6 with it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Number 5, Pyramids of Pyramids of Mars, a classic mummy tale. Not as good as the mummy in the Mummy on the Orient Express. However, an overall better story. It's got that. It's got all the classic tropes of a Hammer mummy movie. It's got that period setting, that turn of the 19th century setting. You got like the introduction in Egypt, and you got this all this Egyptology, supernatural stuff, and then he gets into Sutekh, who's like essentially an Egyptian devil, you know, Egyptian Satan. So I would say, yeah, that's a pretty good classic horror story. Another good classic horror story. Episode 3 of the when the series returned. Episode 3. Mark Gatiss' first one. The Unquiet Dead. A tale of zombies and what's the word? Morticians? Is that the person who runs funerals? Morticians. Zombies and morticians in, again, 19th century setting. It's also got a sort of Christmassy feel to it because it's set around that time with Simon Callow playing Charles Dickens, narrating the great ghost story classic, A Christmas Carol, which actually, you know, I nearly put the Matt Smith Christmas special, A Christmas Carol, on this list for that very reason. But yeah, when you looked at it, it was too far removed. It didn't have any ghosts in it. So I don't think that was a legitimate spooky fair. Yeah, if you think so, but this I would call legitimate spooky fair. Number 3. I didn't know what to do with number. You know what? I'm going to change number 3. Number 3, The Curse of Fenric, a Sylvester McCoy story. It's supposed to be vampires, but they look kind of blue and blobby and like deformed creatures from the far future. But again, it's got that vampiric feel to it. It's got a very traditional like 70s horror movie feel to it. And I think they've done a couple of special editions of it. The Blu-ray Blu-ray is not out. The DVD is pretty good. Blu-ray isn't scheduled, but what's it? Curse of Fenric. It is. Curse of Fenric is in season 26, isn't it? Yeah. So season 26 does have Curse of Fenric, which is coming out late December, I believe. They're always late. There's Blu-ray releases already, but I'm intrigued to get it. Number two, an all-time horror classic, The Demons. How can any list of Doctor Who stories for Halloween not include The Demons? It's just got all this great like small town, small village English horror with like supernatural stuff. The Master is a vicar in it, a demonic vicar. I guess I could have also put on Canine and Company, but that theme tune is too awful that I couldn't. I can't even bring myself to bring it. Yeah, it's not a Doctor Who story. Fine, I don't have to apologise for that. But the Canine Company did deal with a lot of similar things to the Demons. The Demons did it much better, and it was also really cool because it's the first time that you got to see the John Pertwee gang. Oh, this is a John Pertwee story. If you didn't know, you got to see like the whole unit gang out of costume, out of uniform, and it was just like so freaking cool. And I remember when they released the color version of it, it must be the 90s. I was so excited. I was so excited to experience it for the first time as it was done initially. But my number one choice, if you have 1 hour to sit down and watch a spooky Doctor Who story, my number one choice is David Tennant's The Waters of Mars. David Tennant's The Waters of Mars. This is the third from the last of the David Tennant era, and you can see there's like an exhaustion and a melancholy about it that they were still firing on all cylinders. Yeah, I would say the Russell T Davies series continued firing on all cylinders its entire run. But this one, they've been something that really marked the Russell T Davies era is how hard they worked and how they went that extra mile to produce just a fantastic show. But they were exhausted, and there's also this melancholy in it a little bit because they knew this was the best time of their life. This was like this era when they had Russell T Davies, Julie Gardner, Phil Collison, and David Tennant. Yeah, and they were together for a good 4 years. That 4 years must have been the most professionally satisfying of their entire life. And so, yeah, they know they're moving on. The party's nearly over, but they're tired. But they're tired. They enjoy the party, but they don't want to go. It's I think that last line of David Tennant, 2 episodes later, I don't want to go. So incredibly true. I think they were speaking for the entire production. But let me tell you about the story. The story is a really great, based on the siege story with demonic possession kind of overtones. This was one that I hadn't seen for a while. I really hadn't gone back to it because that whole last year of specials is like one I don't revisit often. But I did this week for this very reason. And you know what? A solid episode, solid, good, scary episode. David Tennant running, and the scariest thing about this episode is you got to see a Doctor untethered. What the Doctor will be like without a companion to ground him. Which is kind of a theme going with the last couple of years of the Tennant reign. So, that is my list of top 10 spooky Halloween episodes of Doctor Who to watch if you're in the mood of a Halloween, which is tonight. My name is Philo Becken, the Rabbi from Another Planet. Please, like, share, subscribe, ring the little bell. Oh, and if you stayed this long, you're going to get a prize. My Trial of the Time of Blu-rays is arriving soon, which means I've got a bunch of DVDs I want to get rid of. There's 3 box sets of DVDs I want to get. Trial of the Time Lord, there's the Planet of the Daleks and Frontier in Space, and there's another one, maybe the E-Space trilogy. So I'm going to be doing giveaways of all of those. Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I guess if you subscribe and you leave a comment, or you share and leave a comment with a hashtag, then I'll be able to find you and I'll just pick somebody at random. That's the plan. So exciting news. My name's Philo Becken, the Rabbi from the Planet. Please like, share, subscribe. Have a great Halloween.